Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win podcast with your host, Wil and Nick, where we talk about international perspectives on sports, leadership, mindset, and travel. And this is one of our more fun times when we get to talk about Fanatic Friday, which is about sports. Happy Friday, Nick.
Happy Friday, Will. Happy Friday, winners.
What a weekend. But before we jump into that, let me remind our winners, our listeners, please make sure you subscribe, follow, and share so that you're aware when we drop or upload, I should say, each one of our podcasts. We do publish 3 times a week with Monday Mindset about leadership and mindset, Wanderlust Wednesday, which is travel and the travel business, and Fanatic Friday, which is sports. Each episode is about 20 to 30 minutes in length, so you can plan accordingly. And please note that today's episode is sponsored by Dream Vacations by Nick Menard and Associates. How many associates, Nick?
A couple.
A couple associates. Soon to be many. All right, let's rock and roll. So here we go. We talked last week about an amazing potential slate of games in college football Saturday. So many times things that get hype like that kind of don't live up to the hype, but good golly, Miss Molly. What a Saturday of football. But I know you're way, way, way into college football, even more than I am. So I'm going to be quiet. Let's hear from Nick Menard, folks. What did you think about Saturday's slate of games?
Well, it didn't disappoint. Didn't disappoint, that's for sure. It was insane. Usually when you have weekends who are hyped up because of some of the games, you're disappointed because some games are just very, low intensity because of the stress of the games. Here, there was all the opposites. From 12 to 12, it was insane football with drama, with like last minute change, with like overtime games. It was all and above. So it was pretty fantastic. What I really want to talk about more is, yes, of course, my Longhorns. Longhorns, they dominated Oklahoma, which is, it is what it is. That's the game I want to win and to destroy an opponent every year is the game against.
One of our listeners was so upset that not that you picked the Longhorns to win, but that you chose them to win by 21. She sent me a message. Mm-hmm. She's like, gosh darn it, I guess you got the 21 plus.
No, I was lowballing my Longhorns. I'm sorry, Longhorns, fan nation. But yeah, no, we destroyed them. Let's not talk about this one. It was an easy one. But at night, this was insane. So for those who don't know, I have like a sport book in my living room. I have 3 big TVs hanging on the wall, and I enjoy watching football like I do when I'm in Vegas. So it was literally a Tennessee game on the left. You had the Oregon, Ohio State on the main TV. And then on the right side, you had Ole Miss game at LSU. Wow. Like, I didn't know where to look. It was insane. Like, all game long was so, like, tied. And then it was like one team goes up, then the other, then the one. It was never, like, constant. It was phenomenal. And then the 2 against 3, Oregon, Ohio State. Oh my Lord! I don't know how many change of lead they had in the game. It was like a basketball game.
Yeah,
it was up and down, field goal, touchdown. That's literally what we need to advertise a lot more. I think that's why college football is amazing. The fan base, the orchestra or whatever it's called in the stand. I mean, everything was in until the last second. So yeah, those 3 games got me hooked like I never was before for 3 games at the same time. So fantastic day. What about the first game with Alabama? What happened?
Last week I talked about the fan base would be like Nick Saban would never lose to Vanderbilt, and they almost blew it against South Carolina. And South Carolina scored what? I think 3 points the week before against Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. And they almost went into Alabama and beat them.
Yep. And we're going to talk about the game of this weekend right after. But yeah, that was yeah, that's insane. Like we never saw Alabama play like this, and they have the players. It's not like they depleted because everybody left when Saban left. No, a couple players left. The center, the fact that they lost the center to Ohio State, I think that's a big blow for them. But they have an amazing class of players who came in this year, and I was not expecting that. I like the coach, the board, but something's wrong there. Definitely something's wrong. So we will talk about next weekend. But for last weekend, Lord, we wanted to touch base like 5 minutes beginning of this podcast because it was just insane, and that's why we love football. It's so entertaining, and now next week, and I mean tomorrow. What do you think?
Well, before we jump into that, I just wanted to give another shout out to a game. We were talking about the
Kansas
Catholics
State
versus convicts and Kansas State versus Colorado. We both thought Colorado would either win or get blown out. They actually didn't win, but they also didn't get blown out. That went down 3-point
Right.
difference. K-State just solid. So anyway, the listener I was referring to, well, I didn't know if she was a listener, but I talked about how her dad was defensive coordinator for a long time at K-State. I sent her a message. I'm like, hey, check out this section of the podcast and let me know your thoughts. And she was laughing. I had forgotten about this. She told me and I forgot. Her dad actually worked for the Washington, well, they used to be known as the Redskins. They're now the Commanders. When Dion was there that year, when he was there. And she laughed. She goes, when you said Dion loves some Dion, I remember my dad saying the same thing. Nobody loves Dion like Dion. Well, Dion's going to have to wait a week before he goes bananas with the swag. Although they should hang their head high. Kansas State is a solid football program. They play people tough. Usually it's just a couple games during the year where they, just have a slip up, but they're always usually pretty good. They went into Colorado, who had a lot to play for, and won. So hats off to K-State.
Yeah, and the quarterback of K-State is phenomenal. I think that's the best quarterback they have for a while, and he's projected in the next couple of years to be in the draft and be one of the top quarterback picked. He looked a little bit like Lawrence actually, and he has legs and he has a arm, so he's a full package. So yeah, interesting to know what's gonna happen with K-State this year because I didn't check the new ranking again this week, but I think they probably are like same, like 18 or 16.
Yeah,
16,
they probably went up a couple spots, I would imagine.
So yeah, we'll see. They have a shot in the Big 12 because Utah was the big favorite to win the Big 12, lost two in a row, one before they buy Arizona, I think, and Arizona State after they buy. So no, it's wide open, and I think definitely K-State have a shot now to take the lead on the Big 12.
Hats off K-State. So now this week, we can start with, why don't we start with Alabama, Tennessee, because we both picked Alabama to go to the Final Four out of the 12-team college football playoff. You went on a limb, which I thought was a gutsy but smart pick of Tennessee, but they have not played well the last 2 weeks. And these two teams are playing hard to fathom the loser getting off the mat and being a true contender for the college football playoff. But let me get your take.
Yeah, so I think that the loser is not going to make the top 12. The reason being is that you will have some two-loss team making the playoffs, but I doubt that it's going to be one of those two for the losers because they have a tough program schedule after this weekend. So they need to run the table. They cannot have 3 losses. And then even if they run the table and end up in an SEC like championship, if they really run the table after that, they need to win that game. It's going to be Texas probably, or Georgia or something like that. It's not going to be an easy peasy way to get there. Alabama's schedule is tough. They go play at LSU. They will have a tough time getting there. And Tennessee, same, of course. They have a very tough rest of schedule. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen there. But I predict the loser being out.
So they're playing at Tennessee. As of right now, as recording this podcast, things could change. Alabama's favored by 2.5 points at Tennessee. So they would be 5.5 favored if they were playing in Alabama, usually the 3-point edge.
That's surprising to me. I would give the edge to Tennessee. They play at home. And they had one loss, because they lost their quarterback. But they were not impressive last week, but they went and win, against Florida. So, I don't know. I think Alabama are very disappointing since the halftime of Georgia game.
Yeah,
So
right. The
that's
second
two and a
half,
half
Georgia
game,
almost came back.
2.5 game that they underperform.
So does that sound like you're picking Tennessee?
I picked Tennessee for that game. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think so. It's tough picking against Alabama because of their history over the last 15, 20 years. But I think I'm going to go Tennessee as well. And then I think there's another team playing in kind of a, I don't know, somewhat big game. Texas again. They go from the Red River rivalry to now playing Georgia. Georgia coming to Austin. As of right now, Texas is a 3.5 favorite, which on a neutral field, it'd basically be a pick 'em, which I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Not going to ask you who you're going to think is going to win, but I would like your take on what you see as being like some of the key things that could differentiate Texas coming on top or Georgia coming in with the upset.
Line of scrimmage for me. There are two big line of scrimmage. They have both an O line and a D line, where it's like big boys there. So it's gonna be interesting. We lost our best defensive player, actually defensive back, last weekend for the rest of the season with an ACL. So that will be a big blow because we will miss him on the safety spot and some cornerback that he's playing. So I still pick Texas, not only because I'm a big fan, but also because I believe that they proved that they can go against anyone. Some people still say they didn't play no one, but it's funny. We went to win at Michigan. They're not like last year, but it's still a very hard place. It's a hard place to go win at. And then, of course, they had that big win against Oklahoma. We played with our quarterback being back after a month, so he was rusty. The first quarter was not really good this last weekend. But no, the rust is off. And I believe that Ewers will have a huge game there. We have the running back, we have the wide receivers, we have tight ends. I think that we have more tools or more skills player than Georgia. So I really think we will win the line of scrimmage and be a winner from there. But Georgia is desperate. Georgia is the same situation as Alabama and Tennessee, which we are not. So if we beat Georgia, Georgia needs to win it all and win the SEC championship in order to be in. So they have no choice than to play their best game. So it's gonna be interesting. I foresee like a very, very, very tight game there. What about you?
For all the same things you said, like Texas does have a lot of weapons on offense. And, Georgia historically, at least last 5-10 years, really strong defensive teams. It's just like the Alabama, Tennessee. It's just tough for me to think about picking against Georgia. 2-time back-to-back national championship, but every year is different. It's not the same team as it was last year or the year before. My head says Georgia. My heart says Texas because I do like what Texas is doing. I like Sarkisian, how he came back. I mean, he almost lost his entire career. Like when he was at USC and he had that drinking scandal and was getting hurt all the time. I mean, he had to grind his way back, and he did. And he went to Texas, which always had talent. I mean, the state of Texas has talent, like high school talent, like nobody else outside of maybe Florida. And he's made them into a extremely top tier program. And just knowing Austin, it's going to be rowdy. I'd love to see them celebrate. So I will go with Texas, but I think you're right. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be one of those games where one critical mistake is going to be the difference and who makes it, and you have to say Texas's offense, especially at the quarterback position, is just more polished.
Yeah, I agree. College game day is there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. Whew.
I'm surprised you didn't buy a flight and head over there.
I was thinking about it, and I still kind of think.
Yeah. It wouldn't shock me.
But yeah, definitely. It's gonna be an interesting game. Hey, let the best team win. I think Texas still have all shots to make it, even by losing. but I don't like to have that mentality. So I want to beat them. And then we have, I think we have Vanderbilt after that. So that's Vanderbilt just won back to back 2 games they should have lose. So we'll see. But yeah, exciting weekend again of college football between those two teams, between those 2 games. Sorry, and we'll see. It's gonna be a fun ride.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. And Texas, what a first year, kind of like in the SEC. I mean, making a statement. So, so a great week last week of college football. Not as strong of a slate of games across the board this coming week, but 2 big games with Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, Texas. Definitely worth watching. But now we shall pivot to the NFL.
Let's do it.
I won't start with our upset picks. I'm going to savor that and build up to that for some reason. I don't know why I want to do that.
Boy. Congratulations, you won.
2 weeks in a row. So, thoughts on the slate of NFL games last week? Anything in particular stand out to you?
Yes, my Cowboys got destroyed by Detroit.
Did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I said I don't see them being in the playoff at all. And I said from the start, as being like a real Cowboys fan who know that we are not very good this year. No, but seriously, that was awful. I think that we don't deserve to play games on national TV. This is so bad. That was really the game that's my team, but I want to circle that game because that was awful. We got beat on every piece of that field. We got run over. Then they start throwing balls. We got mussed a couple of times. We cannot do nothing offensively. Like, it's pathetic, really pathetic.
Not necessarily shocked they lost because Detroit's a really solid team, and I love Campbell as a coach. He's kind of like that Bill Cowher type, but this age. He's got the player sensibility part. Cowher did too, but he was more the old school player sensibility part. Campbell's more new school in some regards. Chewing kneecaps, though, I guess is like Cowher. But I think the thing that the Cowboys, the way they lost, shocked me. I will say, just pivoting to the Packers, that was the most stress-free Packer game I've seen all year. It was nice. Mm-hmm. It was very nice. I was worried about Arizona because their offense is good. They bottled up that team. And the thing that has really impressed me this year with the Packers, and I don't know how much you can count on it as the year goes on, but 6 games in, they cause a lot of turnovers. Xavier McKinney, the free agent signing from the Giants, 5 picks in the first 6 games. He's been a steal in terms of a free agent signing. They forced, I think, 3 or 4 turnovers against Arizona. In Arizona, twice they were in Packers territory and the defense forced turnovers. Packers defenses the last few years were not forcing turnovers. And and the other thing that was surprising about this game with all the forced turnovers by Green Bay, they didn't have a lot of sacks. Kyler Murray scrambled out, but they really hunkered down. So I was pleased about that. I think one of the games that didn't necessarily surprise me, but I think this offense has a chance to be one of the most prolific offenses in this century is Tampa Bay. Like Baker Mayfield, I know I talked about this last week, but I mean, he's throwing the ball all over the place. And now they were running. They had the back that was running. They dropped a 51 burger on in New Orleans. That offense is looking scary.
Yeah, slow down.
No?
Slow down. You said what? One of the best offense in the what you said?
6 games in? They have. Go ahead. You take your take. I'm gonna.
No, I mean, yeah, they are solid this year in the beginning of the season. But come on, I would put Detroit way ahead of them. Offensively, they have 2 running back who are probably top 4, top 5 running back in the league. They have Sam Brown on the side. They have Reynolds. They have Williams. They have, the tight end. What's his name again? The tight end Detroit.
Laporta?
Laporta.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? They have a crazy offense team. And then Minnesota's offense? But you're crazy? Like, they have literally Addison and Jefferson, which is two, for me, fantastic complementary wideout. They have a tight end who didn't even play one snap yet, who is coming back here. I never can pronounce that name. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
So he's coming back. He didn't even play one snap yet. And then you have as running back, you have the one coming from a team in green, and I forgot his name. Jones. So you have literally.
I don't remember who he is.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know who you're talking about.
But yeah, so basically those two offensive team are the scariest, and I can go all the way to San Francisco. Right. I can do anything.
All right. What do you consider in terms of explosive offense? Are you a yardage guy, point scored guy? Like what?
I mean, both. It's a combination.
Right. But also, I mean, which one are you going to give a little more credence to?
Probably yards. Yards of scrimmage, yeah.
Okay.
But again, it also depends who you play against. Like Tampa Bay play in a crappy division, so they will play games like Carolina, but against New Orleans, against those things. So of course you're gonna score tons of points. It means not much. I mean, how much they score against Denver? I mean, like seriously, Denver is not.
Right. So let me share a stat. I'm going to give you the top 3 scoring offenses.
Okay.
This year to date. One team isn't going to be a surprise.
Okay.
The other team won't be a surprise because I've just been talking about them.
Okay.
The third team is going to be a shock. I'll give you the third one. The other 2 are tied. Mm-hmm. Third is Baltimore at 177 points scored so far.
Offense
yeah,
also.
that's not a surprise.
Yeah.
Their offense is great. Tampa Bay is tied for first with this other team at 178. So they have an extra point more than Baltimore. Who's the team tied with Baltimore for the most points scored year to date so far? This one shocked me.
Washington?
Nicely done. Yes, the Commanders tied with Tampa Bay, 178 points scored this year to date. Most in the NFL. Baltimore right on their heels at 177.
That's a surprise, but yeah, their offense is very, very dynamic. That's for sure.
Yeah, and there's really not anybody like the fourth team is New Orleans at 167. Of course, they had that.
Dallas. When you play Dallas, you will score a gazillion points.
And then after that, Green Bay and San Francisco at 162.
Yeah, Green Bay also a great offense. Dobbs is like crazy right now. Like so, that's
that was a good comeback for him to have 2 touchdowns.
Let's do my favorite.
Interesting.
Part.
Well, not yet. We're gonna do a new segment. Oh, don't peek. Don't look at the answers here. We're gonna do a new segment. So last time we had like fun facts and we talked about the ratings, you know, on that. This one is we're gonna have this new segment. NFL trivia, and this is from NFL.com. So thank you, NFL.com, for lending this. But there were some interesting fun fact trivia type things that I wanted to point out. And I'm going to quiz my co-host, Mr. Nick Monard. He's already 1 for 1 guessing on the what. That was a good guess. Nicely done. Impressed by that. You still surprised me. Because usually you're honestly wrong. But anyway, here we go. So
I have no idea what's happening, by the way. It was not planned. So
I know.
I have no
we got to
idea.
have a little improv here.
Oh, my God.
So of the previous 2024 first-round rookie quarterbacks to debut this season, so we have Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Drake May. How many threw touchdowns in their first start? And who were they?
True touchdown.
Yes, passing touchdown.
Okay, so I know Williams didn't get one the first day. I think Daniels neither. He had like rushing touchdown. May had that first start this weekend, and he definitely had a passing one. And Bo Nix had nothing. I think the first game, so I would put May.
Yeah, you're right. Only Drake May. He had 3 in his first start. None of the other 3 threw one in their first game. Oh, look at you paying attention. All right. Wow, I think we found your calling. You need to go to take you to the bar at trivia night and sports trivia night and get the winning team. All right, here's the other one. Derrick Henry just ran. I know that name hurts you a bit because you thought he'd be wearing the star in his helmet. 20th career game with 100 plus rushing yards and multiple rushing TDs. Joining which three Hall of Famers as the only player since 1950 with 20 or more such games in their career? So there's three Hall of Fame running backs who had at least 20 games with 100 yards rushing and multiple TDs and rushing TDs in the same game.
Okay, I will not be very good. Listeners, you need to know, and you already know, I'm not from here. I'm from Europe. So I just moved here 11 years ago. So everything before 11 years ago, I was not watching. And all those other films are probably from past 11 years ago. But I would guess the running back from the Cleveland Browns.
Jim Brown?
Yeah, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown's tied for the most
I would guess
with 25.
who was running back of the Indianapolis Colts when Peyton Manning was there. Wayne.
Edgerrin James?
Wayne is not Wayne or something.
No, that was a receiver. Reggie Wayne.
Who was the running back there?
Edgerrin James, and then
Yeah, no, that's probably not that then. Running back. Oh, Cowboys. I will go Cowboys. What's his name?
Ezekiel Elliott?
No, he's not in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, the Hall of Famer from the Cowboys.
Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith.
He
Emmett
was
Smith.
third with 20.
And then, since you brought that up, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Packers one as well. But no,
Packers?
I will give up because
I'm surprised you didn't pick Walter Payton. I would have picked Walter Payton, but it was LaDainian Tomlinson.
Oh, Tomlinson.
Tied with Jim Brown, 25 each.
That one.
All right. We'll make this next two really quick. This is more of a fact, and I'm sorry to do this, but it just shocked the heck out of me. Week 6 marked the Cowboys' second home loss of 25 plus points this season. Also, week 2 against New Orleans. Ties a franchise mark for most such home losses in a Cowboys season during the Super Bowl era. So if it happens one more time, they will be infamous for all the wrong reasons this year.
Amazing.
Just surprised me that it's one thing to lose by that, but on the road, but at home, that was shocking. All right, and the last one I'll end on a high note. Jordan Love has multiple passing touchdowns in 10 consecutive games played, including the playoffs, joining Aaron Rodgers, who had 14 in a row at one point, and Brett Favre as 11 in a row at one point, as the only Packer quarterback since 1970 to have 10 or more consecutive games with multiple passing touchdowns. There have been 10 NFL quarterbacks since 1970 who have done that, 10 straight games, including playoffs. Who, before Jordan Love, had the longest streak of 10 or more games with multiple touchdowns until Jordan Love just did it? Who was the last quarterback to do it?
The last quarterback to do it.
Yeah.
10 game with a touchdown.
Multiple touchdowns.
Multiple touchdowns. Oh, the obvious would be Tom Brady, but I'm sure it's not. So I would say Tom Brady.
Very good. Tom Brady.
All right.
2020, 2021 season. He had 13 straight where he did it. At that age.
Wow.
That's why he's the GOAT.
Yep.
Why he is the GOAT. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
You did really well. You did better than I thought.
Thank you. That's a huge friendship there.
But there's one thing that you have not done well so far.
Oh, my God.
And that is the upset picks. Have you guessed one right?
Nope.
You're 0 for 4.
0 for 4.
So I win 2 weeks in a row.
And you got 3 of the 4.
I know.
That's fantastic.
I
You should
got
bet.
lucky.
You should put your money where your mouth is.
I know. I think I should.
But
You're right.
the good thing about me is that I'm a man of the people. So I want our winners to actually make money. So whatever pick I do, you do the opposite, and you will.
And now,
make
of course, you're going to win.
a lot of money.
Now you'll win this week. But
see.
yeah, so far good. So we're going to do the system like we did last time. Golf rules. I get honors because
Okay.
I won last week. The first game I'm going to go with the upset pick. Chiefs at the 49ers. At the time of this podcast, San Francisco is favored by 1.5. I will take the Chiefs. I think they go into San Francisco and they take care of business. San Francisco's biggest problem is the health. But I think the Chiefs are going to take care of business. I'm going the Chiefs.
All right, that's a good pick. I will take for the first pick. I will take the Jets beating Pittsburgh Steelers
In Pittsburgh.
in Pittsburgh.
You think they go in there and take care of business?
Right now they are underdog by 2.5, which is basically what's the line?
Yeah, at this time, 1.5. Pittsburgh.
1.5. So basically, the Jets are favorite because they play away. So I take the Jets as number 1, and as number 2.
Oh, you get to go 2 in a row?
Of course, that's
Is
what
that
we
how it
always
is?
did.
Oh, is it? Is
Yeah.
it?
And then for number 2, I will take. I'm looking at the screen. I will take the Raiders at the Rams. The Rams are duplicated with injuries. I think that the Raiders have a shot to go there and win.
Okay, so you're taking the Raiders against the Rams. Rams are favored by 5.5 at this time. I am going to take, even though they lost Aiden Hutchinson, which is a huge loss, I'm going to take Detroit to go into Minnesota and beat the Vikings. The Vikings are undefeated. They're due. They've danced with defeat a few times. The Jets almost beat them.
Almost.
Packers should have beat them. After they got walloped in the first half, they came back. So I'm taking the Lions. So Lions over the Vikings. Right now, the Vikings are favored by 2.5.
All right. The picks are in.
There you have it, folks. So those are the upset picks. We will follow up as always. Please vote when we post online. Vote for who you think has the better chance of winning the upset picks for the week. And as always, please give your feedback. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, areas you want us to see us do. Your feedback is important, and we want to customize these as much for our audience, even though it's so fun. We could talk about almost anything with sports and have a good time. So with that will wrap up another Fanatic Friday. Boy, these go by fast. Thank you, winners, for joining us today. Remember to subscribe, follow, and share us on all the major platforms, and look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, everyone.
Bye, winners.